Well, let's get more now on the news that helping former prisoners find work or training could save the government at least £1 billion a year.
Well, the report by Unlocked Graduates found that only 4 in 10 people released from custody each year end up in employment, and that those in work were significantly less likely to reoffend.
Well, joining us in the studio is Bettina Jordon-Barber, a senior consultant for Prison Consultants. Nice to see you, Bettina. Explain the link then to us between employment post-incarceration and the drop in recidivism, because for some people it would seem the case that you're in prison, you've committed a crime, you serve your time, you come out of prison and you return to your normal life. That's not the way for most prisoners.
It's not the way for most prisoners at all, regrettably. There is a situation where every offender ends up with 2 prison sentences, the one they serve in prison and then the one they serve which starts on the day of their release. And no matter what our views are on an ex-offender's crime, we as a society need to start working towards reducing the huge bill that recidivism costs. £15 billion a year is what it's costing the UK taxpayer. And that doesn't include the costs to social services or NHS. If you look at what gives a person self-esteem and pride, everybody needs work, everybody needs family, everybody needs support. And we need to stop disenfranchising someone who has paid for their crime because of their crime.
So where does the problem lie then? Does the problem lie within prison, in that there aren't enough training programmes in place, there isn't re-education in place for prisoners who want to do something different when they emerge? Or is it that when they leave prison, people are simply turning up their noses at their job applications?
It's absolutely a combination of the two. So, there's been lots recently on the state of our prisons. We've got a prison estate of 86,000 in an estate that can only cope with 72,000. If you're simply warehousing your stock and you're not rehabilitating them and you're not re-educating them and you're not giving them the skills with which to survive and they haven't got a home to go to when they get out of prison, then all these problems arise at the end of it. You've also got the situation where banks, Lloyds, Barclays, they will arbitrarily close someone's bank accounts purely because they've had a conviction. It might not even be a conviction related to money or fraud. That prevents that person from being able to function as a normal person in society. You have to, as you rightly pointed out, there are lots of things at the moment where you have to declare your conviction at an early stage in any kind of recruitment process. So you're not even getting to put your face in front of somebody who might say, actually, I'm going to give this person a shot.
But what you're talking about, though, some people will see it as this. You're giving people who have committed crimes opportunities that those who have not committed crimes do not. Re-education, training courses. I mean, these all cost money, inside or outside of prison. Why should someone who has committed an offence knowingly, why should they be receiving a benefit as a result of their criminality?
Again, it comes back to deciding what we want as a society. No matter what our view is of somebody's crime, if you want to reduce the recidivism bill to this country, then you have to do a branch and root review of the whole system. And that includes what you were asking earlier about what goes on in prison and what happens from the day they leave prison. They've committed a crime, absolutely. They've paid for that crime, and then when they come out, in order that they don't reoffend, you need to give them something to work to. Some people who are in prison are completely illiterate, so it's unfair to suggest that they're getting an advantage over someone that's outside of prison.
In the realm of employment,
yeah.
Are you suggesting that employers shouldn't be privy to the information that somebody they're potentially thinking of employing has had a conviction in the past? Is that something you'd like to see done away with?
I'm not suggesting that they shouldn't. I'm suggesting that it should come at an appropriate stage, or if it's appropriate for that role. So clearly teaching, there are certain professions where it has to be declared, and I understand that. But if on an application form you're having to tick a box that says whether or not you have a conviction, and that already prevents you getting any further, then that is unfair. Because someone that's convicted of a crime doesn't mean they're going to reoffend. In the same way, you could have an application from someone who may have committed a crime, but hasn't been found out yet.
But
so how does that work?
But there will be employers who will say, look, if I have 10 candidates in front of me and I need to whittle them down, one entirely fair way of doing it would be to suggest those that have a criminal record should go to the back of the queue. And people who haven't committed crimes...
I completely disagree, and
but people who haven't committed crimes and people who haven't spent time in prison might be slightly more favourable to that.
No, I'm sorry. I completely disagree with that perspective. And companies like Timpson, companies like Greggs, they would agree with my view on that. I'm not suggesting that there should be favouritism. I'm suggesting an equal playing field. I'm not suggesting that just because someone's come out of prison that they should be given a forward leap. But if you don't give someone a future, they will potentially return to their past.
Bettina Jordon-Barber, thank you very much for joining us here.
My pleasure.